This week on Gymwright Live, we welcome back to the show Jason Rule of Driven Nutrition to learn what he's been doing to help his gyms massively increase retail sales. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a warm thank you to SiteRight.io as our official sponsor for this show. Every gym owner deserves a great website, and now there's no excuse not to have one. Upgrade your online presence by going to SiteRight.io. Also, if you're watching the show on Facebook right now and you would like to get free access to our free private Facebook group where you will find tons of great conversations, live weekly Q&A sessions with yours truly, and step-by-step how-tos of some of the most effective strategies out there for gym owners today, simply type the word join in the comments below and we'll get you access right away. By the way, this will also get you our free sales and marketing planner to help you make this the best year of your gym yet. Plus, it'll set you up to receive a weekly reminder of whenever we go live for this show so you never miss another episode. You're welcome. Again, just type the word join now so you can get access to all this great stuff and so you can start taking your gym owner game to the next level right now. All right, let's get this party started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Gymwright Live. I am your host, Marcus Gursey, and this week we welcome back to the show special guest and dear friend of mine, Mr. Jason Rule. Jason is the owner of Driven Nutrition and has worked with over 1,300 affiliates to help them build a successful retail channel in their business. Jason, such a pleasure to have you back on today. Welcome back to the show.
Oh man, thank you for having me. It's so good to see you.
Awesome, man. Likewise, likewise. I am excited to get into today's subject as CBD has become a really big and frankly, really big opportunity for gym owners who've started distributing it. But before we get into any of that, man, tell us a little bit about yourself and Driven Nutrition for those very few who don't know who you are.
Well, Driven Nutrition, we're an exclusive supplement provider to affiliates. We work with them one-on-one to help them establish retail. I hear a lot of times, my members are buying protein, my members are buying creatine, amino acids, that type of thing. They're just not buying from me as an affiliate owner, as well as they're buying the wrong products for where they are in their fitness journey. So what we do is we work with the gyms and kind of teach them how to overcome some of their own mental barriers that they have, but also give them tactics that they can use to build that retail up and not only keep some of the revenue, the share of wallet that their members are already spending somewhere else, but also get their members on track, getting them taking and buying a product that actually fits for what they need and what their goals are.
Love it,
that's
man.
kind of what we do.
Yeah, you guys have done something really unique, which is really, I think, probably what's contributed to your guys' massive success in this industry is, the amount of care you guys give to each one of the gyms that you guys work with. To actually help them be successful with your product and just really with retail in general is unparalleled. We've known each other for several years at this point, and I've had the privilege of watching you build this company from really when it was still pretty young. And you have just, covered so much ground. And it always comes back to the same thing I hear from the business coaches who work for us, who work with you, to the, I don't know how many clients we have sent you at this point and people we work with that work with you. It's always about the care and the service you guys provide your affiliates and helping them actually succeed. Even if someone's never had any experience with retail, you guys help them understand how to do it, how to introduce it, how to sell it. In ways that are fun, actually engage their community and get great results performance-wise for the retail channel. So awesome job, man.
Well, thank you. That's really an honor to hear you say that.
Awesome, man. Well, let's get into this a little bit. So for those who don't know much about CBD yet, can you teach us a little bit about what CBD is and really why it's getting so much attention these days, both in the fitness community and out?
Yeah, and it comes back to first off, people kind of seek out CBD because they have a need for it, either a major injury or stress, anxiety, that type of thing. They've kind of heard through the grapevine. So there's, a couple years ago when we started looking into it, there was a lot more misconceptions than there are now. Thankfully, the market has matured. Has spun off not a few, several bad actors in the space where people are making unsubstantiated claims. You know, the FDA is really watching this industry hard, but one of the reasons that it's blown up the way that it has is because there are effective uses for it, but also it is an incredibly expensive item. So you've got a product like this that retails for, you know, $300, for example. There are some companies out there, while this has 6,000 to 7,000 milligrams of CBD in it, there are some companies out there that will tout a bottle this size, sell it for $300, but it has 500 or 600 milligrams of total CBD. So the margins in those are enormous. So what that does is that allows companies to establish marketing, to establish, you know, affiliate programs that have an incredible rate of compensation that really kind of propagate out that your members hear. And so there's a lot of noise out there about it. But specifically about CBD, you know, every vertebrate on the planet has an endocannabinoid system. We actually produce cannabinoids, endocannabinoids. We have CB1 and CB2 receptors throughout the body, mostly along the nervous system. So, and what we don't know is did we evolve next to the plant, or did the plant evolve next to us? Because CBD exists in hemp. It also exists in vertebrates, every one of us. But like you mentioned earlier on your call, your wife is responding better to a lower dose than you are. So every person, every vertebrate, dog, you know, the list goes on and on of creatures that get benefit from this product are benefiting by different levels of added supplementation. Mm-hmm. So there's, man, I'm losing my train of thought here. Help me with your question.
Just tell us what CBD really is and why it's getting so much attention, right? That's got it. You know, I think because there's a lot of people out there who have heard CBD this, CBD that, but I don't think people really understand what it is and really what it is not as well. Can you kind of break that down a little bit?
Yeah, it is. So CBD is one of 113 known cannabinoids that exist in the hemp plant. That also exists inside of our bodies, the endocannabinoids. There's only one cannabinoid that actually has a psychedelic property or gets you high, you feel euphoric, and that's THC. So THC is a cannabinoid, and then out of that, so out of 113 known cannabinoids, only one of those has any type of psychedelic impact. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of those misconceptions about, is it weed oil? Is it going to get me high? That type of thing. So in 2013, the Farm Bill was passed, which defined industrial hemp and said, okay, if it has below 0.3% THC, then it's industrial hemp, not marijuana. So it's legal to be sold as a dietary supplement. And that legislation was passed by the help of the Charlotte's Web team, the Stanley brothers, the brothers that actually founded the company. And I would encourage any gym owner to Google Charlotte's Web and Sanjay Gupta, CNN. There's a 45-minute basically show that was done talking about Charlotte Figge and the amazing transformation she took from having, you know, all of these grand mal seizures, and the product that we still have today is the exact same genetic strain than what she was getting benefit from. And this company ended up creating a lot of medical refugees out in Colorado in 2010, 2011, 2012, mm-hmm. before it was nationally legal, because you couldn't, 6 years ago, you couldn't ship this product over state lines. The only place you could get it was Colorado. So you had a lot of families, and I met some of these guys at a nonprofit called the Realm of Caring when we went out, toured the facilities and toured the nonprofit. So you've got a product that has amazing benefits that up till 7 years ago was basically illegal. So what we've spawned from having a product that's so expensive, we're just now getting into the science of what does it actually do, because before it was a Schedule I drug, which, to give you a comparison of that, cocaine isn't a Schedule I drug, which is amazing to me.
Right, it's crazy. Yeah, I've never quite understood or agreed with how they organize that stuff, but needless to say, I mean, I have countless friends, professionally, not professionally, you know, in this industry and not, that have adopted it and brought it into their life. And I actually, thanks to one of the coaches who works with us, she actually was what inspired me to reach out to you and order my first batch. And thank you for sending that, because that, like I mentioned prior to our call, I legitimately wanted to try it and see what it was all about. And both my wife and I noticed some pretty serious benefits to in slightly different ways. It just in the quality for me, it was quality of rest, recovery, and just kind of like, it just felt like my overall stress came down a bit. And I haven't slept this well in a long time. And that was enough for me to continue using it. And it's only been about a month and a half or so now that I've been on it regularly every day. And now I want to explore the even stronger, the max that you guys offer, because I have the middle grade one. It's just been phenomenal. So anyway, I say all that because, you know, there's, you know, people like myself who've been, and yourself, who've been in this industry a while and have been training a long time. Our training age is on a little bit higher end of the spectrum. This is seemingly becoming far more and more popular as something that people are adopting and just bringing into their life. And I mean, I have, you know, friends of my wife who are swearing by it, you know, just, you know, moms with stress and this and that. And it's making a massive impact, which is really cool to see.
Right. I initially started looking into it. In fact, I have it still here in my desk. I looked into it 4 or 5 years ago for myself personally. I have I told this story about 6 months ago. Before then, nobody knew, but I have a schwannoma in L1, L2, and L3. It's a small. The doctor said eloquently, it's about the size of a raisin inside the sheath of my spine. So I started reading up then of what's you know, anti-inflammatory diets, that type of thing. So that's what led me to looking at it 5 years ago. But again, it was illegal to get anywhere other than Colorado. My brother's still is actually in charge of drug interdiction for the state of Kansas. So I've never smoked pot. It's just not something that we do. So, but I saw some potential benefits for me personally. And then 3 years ago, my oldest son, Elliot, and I actually sent you the video of him running at K-State Relays.
That's right.
He took a crack to his back, and they believe he had a small crack in a vertebrae. So it created a lot of inflammation. The crack healed, but the inflammation never went down. So they didn't think that he was going to be able to play football through the rest of high school. And I'm pretty standoffish. Like, look, dude, if that's what you want to do, let's figure out how to get you better. So he ended up taking the entire summer off. But the first thing I did when they said inflammation was I started going back to CBD. And then lo and behold, you know, I find out that it's at the freaking, it's being sold at over-the-counter shelves at a local Mama Jean's, which is a local health food store. So I was blown away, like, okay, so I knew about the physical properties, exercise-induced inflammation benefits of it, but now I can buy it. So I ended up getting it for Elliot. You know, this is the brand here, the camera, because it was the highest at the time. It was 3 milligrams of CBD. And coming from a supplement industry, I always read labels. I try to take a look, okay, what's the testing, everything else. And to my knowledge, this was the highest dose that I could find. There's not only is there not a lot of misinformation about how to take it, but there's a lot of information about, you know, what's CBD, what's hemp oil, what's the difference, that type of thing. So the more I started digging into it, everywhere I read, it led to a point of Charlotte's Web being the best brand, the most reputable out there, but I couldn't find any vetting on it online because they actually don't put CBD content on their bottles. So just through serendipity, I ended up reaching out and developed a relationship and a conversation because I was curious for my son, like, hey, if this is the best product out there, why can't I read how much CBD is actually in our product? And it wasn't until developing that relationship, and now we're able to actually say, because the FDA is watching this product so closely, we're actually able to say what the CBD content is, but we still have to distinguish of it is hemp oil. It is a dietary supplement, so it's covered under DSHA. So that gray area of, is it CBD, is it hemp oil? Yes, hemp oil has CBD, but each genetic strain of plant has a different level of CBD in it. So like, you know, just like, you know, you're in California, so you're probably more familiar with this than people that are outside of other areas, but plants have been bred to reduce all of the other cannabinoids and increase the one, which is THC. So these brothers started reading years ago about the benefits of CBD. So they started breeding these strains and came up with one genetic strain that they own the proprietary rights to. That's just the richest CBD plant out there, that to my knowledge. And so then the little girl, Charlotte Figge, started stumbling on this product. Her mom did, and then it ended up having incredible results, and then ended up creating the customer line, the medical refugee crisis that we started earlier. But it wasn't until I started digging into that after having a need. Like I said, you asked, how do people get into it? How do they start? It's because they have a specific need that drives them out there to where they start looking for it. And it was that confusion in the marketplace that I felt, okay, so I found the best brand out there. How do I teach our affiliates how to get through some of the misconceptions and talk about the benefits of the product without misrepresenting it? So that's some of the problems that we dealt with.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's some complicated waters to navigate at this stage, I'm sure. So as with all supplements, like you said, I mean, there's going to be certain quality factors to consider when you're choosing between the different products out there. Mm-hmm. What are the key things to look for and look out for in these products? In other words, what makes one better or worse than the other?
I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to put a disclaimer on there. We work exclusively with Charlotte's Web. That's not because we're required to. We have an agreement where we handle all CrossFit gyms across the nation for Charlotte's Web. But we have a caveat that if I ever find a better product, we're going to sell it. So it's going to sound like everything that Charlotte's Web does is the best in the industry. It sounds that way because that's the way that it is. They are establishing benchmark after benchmark and setting the bar so high. They genuinely hope other companies, because let's be honest, if you go to a CBD or a head shop and you walk through, it's going to look like some of these products. It's going to look like the labels were printed on their mom's Hewlett Packard. I mean, some of it looks like total crap. So they're hoping to be able to raise the bar so high that the rest of the industry will pull up. But to answer your question specifically, you should be able to receive batch testing for every single batch. Charlotte's Web makes it very easy because they actually put a QR code on the lid, on the side of the bottle, that links to third-party testing for each batch that not only tests and shows the THC content, but it also tests and shows the CBD and other cannabinoid content of that specific batch. So you know exactly what you're getting. The other thing that really spoke to me about Charlotte's Web out of any other brand that I could find is, since they own the genetic proprietary rights for a plant, what they do is they hand plant from a clone every single time. So you're in California, so you're familiar with the Haas avocado story, right? So every Haas avocado is genetically the same from one to the other. It's because they splice a clone onto a seedling and then it grows, so it's the same. They do the same thing with their hemp plant. So what that means from the standpoint of benefits is, if you take any off-the-shelf CBD product or any other hemp oil, to my knowledge, it is a combination of commodity oils. So they buy it from farms. They buy it, whether it's in the U.S., whether it's from Canada, whether it's from China. You need to understand that these plants are reclamation plants, which means it actually draws contaminants, good and, well, it draws out contaminants as well as the good properties of the soil. So a lot of companies will plant hemp around mining operations, right? Because it'll pull all of the heavy metals and everything else out of the soil. When we bombed Japan over there, one of the first things they did was actually started planting huge crops of hemp because it started pulling all of the contaminants out of the soil.
Wow.
So now you've got this product, these big drums, these big vats of ground up, it looks like oregano. Okay. Now that's come from the soil, that has all of the properties, the good and the bad of the soil. Then it's condensed down into these gallon jars of this heavy sludge, basically, and then it's more liquidized with a cutting agent like an oil or a coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil. But it comes down to what's all in that bulk plant that's reduced down into it. So Charlotte's Web, they own the farms where it's planted. They oversee all of the operations. They hand cultivate. They don't use, they're actually in the process of, and they have been adhering to organic growth standards, to where when the FDA does ever open up and start releasing organic hemp, they're going to be first in line to be able to certify. So they've been establishing those for quite some time. But so that talks about the quality of the ground of where the plant is grown. But specifically talking about one genetic strain, if you take a product and it has different properties to it from one batch to the next and it's bottled, you're going to get a different response from your cannabinoid system. Your body's going to receive it different. It's going to have different levels of CBA, CBN, CBG, which are different cannabinoids, right? Because, as we said, there's 113 known cannabinoids. Charlotte's Web, since they're coming from one strain, it's basically the difference between if you go to the store and you order a steak, right? It's coming from one cow. But if you order hamburger, it could be coming from 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't know how many. So to my knowledge, Charlotte's Web is the only company that's selling the steak, which is from one genetic plant, versus a commoditized oil that's bought in bulk and then bottled down. So does that help? Or is that
a ton?
Just make
I didn't know any of
okay.
that. That was fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, that definitely explains the difference, I suppose. I mean, again, the other thing is, like, I've been hearing about this product completely independent of you through friends of mine who are in the nutrition space, and whether they're nutrition consultants or they work in gyms, outside of gyms, in the CrossFit space, not in the CrossFit space, and they've all pointed back to this exact product, which I thought was interesting. Right. So that explains why everyone keeps referencing this one particular brand, and I can see why you would choose that as your own, basically your only product that you're selling for CBD. Okay, so let's move forward a little bit here. So you've worked with over 1,300 affiliates to help them beef up their retail channel and their business. What kind of performance are you seeing with gyms that are starting to sell CBD?
Well, first, a lot of gyms have to overcome their misconceptions about is it weed, is it legal, is it not? I've been invited into a few Facebook groups for gyms, and me, I'm very blunt, I'm very direct, and I don't apologize. If I have the data to back it up, I'm going to state the facts and not apologize. So I'm the same way, both in our Facebook, which is the Building Retail group, as well as in any other groups that we join. But some of the success that I found that gyms, instead of coming out with booklet after booklet or article after article, what I found the greatest success that affiliates can have is take a picture of it. Take a picture. What I did inside of our group, I recommended gyms do this, is, I took a picture of it in my hand and put a question mark on it, and then post it up in your group and on your page. Do you take CBD, and why? And what happens is members come out of the woodworks, because like you said, you have people in the industry who know about it and they know what this product actually is and what it can do for them. Then you have some people that are curious, and then you have some people that are absolutely ardently against it. Okay. So all of those, when you put it out into a public forum, you get everybody out there talking about it. And I felt from day one, if we can establish dialogue and get people talking about it, the ones who genuinely know what the product is, talking about it to the people who are curious, eventually that wave will crest to the people that are ardently against it because it's, the devil's lettuce juice. But now we're having to get past the mindset of, some companies bottling it up and making all these claims of calling it Jesus juice. It's the latest, greatest cure for everything. And it's not. It's a plant that has properties to it that can benefit every vertebrate out there, including you. And one of the ways that it does that is through adenamide. So you've heard of the runner's high, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's not endorphins. What they found is endorphins are too large to pass through the blood-brain barrier. Like, even though you exercise, your body floods with endorphins, it doesn't actually affect your sense of well-being. What they found is it's actually a cannabinoid called adenamide, which is it's a Greek or Sanskrit for the bliss molecule. It has this overwhelming sense of well-being. So you feel better, whether, it's stress or you need to sleep, that type of thing, or you have an achy shoulder. Okay. It helps the body attenuate homeostasis. And through that adenamide, CBD specifically, cuts down the half-life of how fast adenamide is broken down. So That's why you get that overall sense of well-being by taking CBD. It's actually how it's affecting your body and how it's breaking down adenamide. But back to your question about retail and the gyms that are crushing it is the ones that are having the greatest success are the ones that are starting the dialogue, and they're letting the people who are taking the product tell their story.
Yeah, it's this whole thing, by the way, shout out to Emily Schneller, who from RuFit. She's one of our business coaches, her and Bradley actually. And she was the one who started the conversation with me on your product. And that had me actually reach out. And they sell it at their gym, and they were just blown away with how well it's done. And I'm not sure exactly how they introduced it and what they're doing with it, but it's the same kind of thing where they believe in it themselves because they take it themselves. They understand how to communicate that. And from what I understand, they've had a hell of an adoption rate at their gym, which has been great for everyone, because as soon as people get on it, they're like, whoa, I didn't realize, how it's affected me. And particularly, those of us who may be a little bit on the older end of the spectrum when it comes to our training, always well received to bring down inflammation and help me sleep better and recover better. Right. So,
Right.
I'd be curious to know, how big of an impact it is making, or what you're seeing across the board from the gyms, because it is a much higher ticket item, right? I mean, you have different grades. You guys have the 3 different dosages, if you will, right? The different intensities, right. Which obviously come with different price tags. But either way, we're not talking about a $35 BCAA or a $50 even, protein or whatever. We're talking about, products ranging from like $40 to $300 or $70 to $300, somewhere in there.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And, and you guys always have a really generous margin with all of your products. And again, from what I understand from the people who are selling it, it's the same thing is true for this, which means you've got a higher ticket item that is wildly beneficial to a lot of the people in your community, and people are adopting it and they're seeing the benefits. So they're using it and they're talking about it. So more people start using it. And as the gym owner, you're introducing something that is impacting not just their training, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to help our people thrive both in and out of the gym, right? It's not just about gains and weight loss and all that. Like, that's obviously our first job, at least as far as our clients are concerned and what they hire us to do. But at the end of the day, anytime we can introduce anything that is going to benefit them on all fronts, I think that's where, we gain a lot of our power in our community and our ability to make change, right? That's why our gyms exist. Right. And so you've got a product now with a huge margin, huge impact, and it's got a huge adoption rate. So it's kind of a win-win for anyone to bring it in, because you can put a massive dent in your retail goals, or even jumpstart your retail channel if you aren't even selling that much yet, and get a lot of traction quickly.
I'm guessing there's a handful of your gyms that probably aren't even doing $300 in retail a month.
I see it all the time. I just was onboarding some people last week, and I've got some people who are well over that. One of them in particular was about 120 members. That's, doing about $400 or $500 a month in retail, which is a massive opportunity for average client value. And just, again, also, like you said at the very top of the show, it's not about them going to GNC and, and going, because they're going to spend it anyway, right? So you might as well give them a better product that saves them the trip. It's vetted by you, and is going to only, because it profits the gym, is only going to contribute to better salaries, cleaner facilities, new equipment, growth, expansion. It helps fuel the fire that they're chasing anyway, right? So why wouldn't you put more effort into this part of your business? It's a no-brainer. And provide more value. It's a legit win-win, right? So whenever I see that, it's like, ooh, I start getting excited, because I know what's possible at that number. You can put up you can put up a few $1,000s a month at that size, no problem, with some fundamentals. And, and have, and if they're working with someone like you, they've got, 40% roughly, or I think even better sometimes, margins, right? 50. Right. So no complaining, anyone. You can make a great additional kind of revenue stream, or you can establish a great additional revenue stream and do so with a really healthy margin, because that's not the case with a lot of them.
Well, and the most important thing that I found, that if somebody can get all of that stuff that you just said is absolutely beautiful, you nailed it. And the cherry on top is we teach it in a way that allows you to still sleep at night.
Right. It's not about being the sleazy,
right.
you know, pro shop guy. And
right.
Again, because it's about marketing in a way that shows them how and why they need it, and makes it fun, and it's authentic to the gym owner and their voice, because you give them a model, not just this is the one way to do it. Here's the model, right. And then they can adapt it to their style, their tone, and it works like gangbusters. I like I said, yeah. I mean, I've worked with probably a couple hundred of the gyms that have worked with you, if not more than that, over the years. And it's always the same thing. I love Jason. What he showed me or taught me, or the resources they provide, are next, you know, I mean, second to none. So
thank you.
Hat off to you, man, because that's what it's all about.
Thank you. I will say this: if anybody's listening to this, I want you something to consider, because it comes back to serving the end member. Ask yourself, like, how many coaches do you have? I'll tell this story. 2 weeks ago, I was onboarding an affiliate, and he said, you know, I'm just not sure that this is going to be a good fit. I said, great. How many coaches do you have? Well, I have 8. I said, okay. So out of those 8, how many are taking supplements? All of them. Okay. So if I, as a customer or a member, get personal training by each one of those 8, and I ask them, hey, Marcus, what do you take? Hey, Bill, what do you take? And I get 8 different answers. What do I do? What should I take? What's the right product for me? I don't have a firm answer. So now I'm pulled off into the ether, and I'm Googling products for CrossFit, supplements for CrossFit. Mm-hmm. And then I get targeted on Facebook, on Google, and then I buy $300 or $400 worth of crap that I don't need. So whether it's my brand or anybody else, get your coaches on board. They're the tips of the spear. They're the ones that are talking to the members and 100%. Sharing those experiences about it. So that's, to me, that's the essence of kind of what we teach. Is it, in the end, it serves your members. Mm-hmm. Because not serving them is doing them a disservice, because they're buying those products somewhere else.
Right. And now they're going to be going to GNC or to Costco or to whoever had the shinier ad, right? And not taking something that's been vetted, and, you know, something where you can say, look, this is the same stuff I take and all the other coaches here take. I've tried a lot of the things out there. I like it because it tastes good. It doesn't have all the crap in it. And, you know, I don't have a lot of the, you know, digestive issues and things that a lot of people have from lower quality products. You want to try some?
Yeah.
And done deal.
And 30 seconds later, you have a happy customer. They're supporting the business that they know and love. And you're doing actually something from a business standpoint.
Right. Now they're not going to go out and buy some trash at GNC for $300. And now you're like, great. Now it's going to do more harm than good for the next 4 months while you work your way through that garbage. And then you can buy the right stuff. Anyway. Okay. So I had a question for you. Particularly, I guess I'd like to kind of unpack this a little bit more. So I know you always provide support and resources, like we talked about, for your affiliates. And what kind of resources are you providing to your affiliates to help them introduce and sell the CBD products? Is it similar to what you're doing with your other supplements? Is there, I know that you mentioned, you know, them taking a picture of it, getting the conversation started. Is there anything beyond that?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that first one, that's just an overall tactic. That's a way to increase dialogue. Now, that's not a long-term solution. You can't do that every week. But what we do have is we have articles on our website. I've done several videos inside of Building Retail. All you have to do is go in there, add yourself. If you're an affiliate, you get approved, and then just search CBD. Just that continuing education of, you know, how do I explain this to members? How do I talk to your members about it? And how should I take it? What should I start with? What's the best value? Can I really sell a $300 product? I got news for you. That is our largest seller in the hemp oil. So when you've got essentially the same product inside of a category, that's our largest unit mover inside of that category. So that's crazy, man. That's the case because it's the best value, and it's the best value for the people that are getting results, and they're spending $300 every time they buy it.
Happily.
Yes. Yeah. They're ecstatic to get it. And that's, so from the support of the affiliate, it goes a little bit deeper. When we started working with Charlotte's Web, I wanted to make sure that they protect the end retailer, just like the rest of our products. If you Google it, you're going to find it on our website and on our Amazon store. I wanted to make sure that they didn't have a bunch of retailers or online retailers discounting it to where the people who we bring it in, like it's all great and good. You can have the best product on the shelves in the world, but if you're only making $5 for every 150 you're selling, it's a waste of your time and you shouldn't do it. Just literally send them to the website and go buy it. So Charlotte's Web has that same protection, that map pricing in place that they enforce rigorously.
That's key, man, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen that go sideways where, a gym owner starts stocking a product, they're tying up a bunch of cash in inventory with the hope of being able to sell this to their members, only to find out, usually having been brought to their attention by a member saying, hey, wait a minute, I looked this up online and so sells it for $5 less than you do. And,
Right.
with free shipping. And you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
What do I do? Right? You've tied up your cash and now, that
Right.
spreads around and now it's going to take you a year to get through that stuff.
Right.
If you don't have to end up just fire selling it just to recoup your cash and move on. Right.
Right. And then what you've done, really all you've done is you've taken your existing client base and created a customer for another company that has no benefit to you whatsoever.
It's my least favorite thing to do. Anyway, okay. So, question for you. Why do you have two different Driven Nutrition websites?
That's a good question. So about back in October, Facebook came down with Thor's hammer and shut down our ad account because we were selling what's that?
I said, oh boy.
Yeah, that was bullshit is what it was, because they claimed that we were selling an illegal product. Like, how is it illegal? Literally, there's two farm bills passed through Congress that say not only is hemp oil legal, which is what this is, but CBD is federally legal, which this product doesn't say CBD on it anywhere. So they completely shut off our ad account. So me, I'm kind of a computer geek. That to me, like I'd done a lot of work to make sure that we have advertising set up to our affiliates and their coaches, so they're seeing the product, keeping it front of mind, and all of that. So what I had to do was I had to create an entirely new website on drivennutrition.com without hemp oil, with no CBD, with no mention of CBD. We can't even link from drivennutrition.com to drivennutrition.net and maintain a Facebook ad account.
Wow.
So on .net, that's where I push everybody to go. But if we're advertising articles and stuff like that on Facebook, we have to use .com.
Oh, gotta love it.
It creates a little bit of administrative issues, like, hey, I can't log into my website or my affiliate account. Make sure you're on .net. So just a little bit of training gets past it, but it's worth it because we have to be able to keep those ads going.
Of course, man. Yeah, and I'm sure it's just a temporary, I guess, loophole or workaround. Until it becomes, I think, a little bit more common knowledge that this is okay to use, and you can go back to having just one website.
That's my hope. Eventually that wave is going to crest. Public opinion is going to shift enough to where there's not the misconceptions. I'm just waiting it out.
Awesome, man. Well, question I like to end with every time here, Jason. In one sentence, if you could give one piece of advice to a gym owner, what would it be?
Take care of yourself and take care of your business. And that's the only way that you can take care of your members.
Love that. Love that.
Trademarked.
Too late. I already posted it. Already reshared it. Awesome, man. Jason, as always, man, such a pleasure having you on. I learned a ton. Thank you very much for coming on and taking the time and sharing all that with us. Love all the work that you're doing. Keep it up, man. You're making a big difference in this space. And I appreciate everything that you do for us, man. I appreciate it. Where can people find more about you?
Driven Nutrition on social media, Instagram, Facebook. If you want to sign up to be an affiliate, go to drivennutrition.net and click on Become a Driven Affiliate. And then it'll take you about 60 seconds to fill that form out. The very next page requires you to schedule a call with me so we can get you onboarded and make sure that we're a good fit. And then after that, we turn the machine on and it's just follow the bouncing ball. But me personally, I'm out there. You've tagged me up inside of this post. If you have questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm pretty accessible and happy to help however I can.
Awesome, man. Jason, again, thank you so much for coming on. Also, I want to thank all of you motivated gym owners out there for joining us today. Also, thanks again to our sponsor, SiteRight.io. Upgrade your online presence today. Visit SiteRight.io to learn more. And be sure to join us in the network where you can learn from other gym owners and be a part of a positive community. It's a membership that pays. As a member of the network, now you will receive 25% off any SiteRight.io plan if you sign up by October 1st, 2019. There is no excuse not to upgrade your online footprint, guys, so with that kind of deal. So be sure to head over and check them out. That's it for today. Now get out there and build something that matters. We'll see you guys all again next week. Bye-bye.